soul appealing.
Okay, be quiet. I want to talk about my sweet galactic trash boy, Fud Sang. Here's Fud Sang and his little blue pod racer. Look at him go. Well, I mean, he'll go in a minute. Look at him go. Go on, pod racer. Race your pod. So anyway, Fud Sang's amazing. Like literally everyone who has ever played Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, my original goal was to unlock Sebulba, of course. The only point in my mind was to unlock Sebulba. But instead, this little round thing waddled on screen, and I fell in love and knew that I had to take care of him. It's Fud Sang. He's a tiny little round piece of shit. I love him. I don't know much about him other than he just looks like garbage, and that makes me like him. He's like a boglin with legs, which isn't a good type of boglin. He crashed. Let's have a look at his article on Wikipedia. I had that open, ready to talk about. Fud Sang. Oh, by the way, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer's pretty decent. A male member of a diminutive species, Fud Sang, was an inmate at a maximum security detention centre known as Desolation Valley, located on the fourth moon of the outer rim planet Uvo. While incarcerated about 32 BBY during the final decades of the Galactic Republic, Sang was considered a mediocre pilot at best. Poor little piece of garbage. Nevertheless, the prison warden, Fen Buddha, occasionally granted Sang the opportunity to participate in pod races that Buddha hosted in the prison, which provided the inmates a form of entertainment. Piloting a Bree Block 6 Tri-Ram pod racer, Sang managed to garner intimate knowledge of one of the moon's courses and became quite successful there. Sang's success eventually led him to being allowed to race on the Ice World Ando Prime, where his improving piloting skills also acquired in popularity, so good for him. His species is listed on Wikipedia as a short, pudgy species. That's how rubbish he is. I love him. I love Fud Sang. I only got as far as concept art for the film. Didn't show up. Anyway, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is available on PS4 and Switch and probably the Xbox One. I don't know. I ain't plugged that in since I moved to Philadelphia. It's fun. It's the old game. It was on N64. I never played it on N64. I used to go to my friend James Purcell's house at a caravan in Weymouth on holidays, and he would play it. I'd get to watch him play it. Never got to play it myself. So now I've got it on the Switch, and it's good. It's got new racing controls, although you can switch to classic controls. It's got a one-handed mode for the Joy-Con, and it's got motion controls, which are pretty decent. All of the footage I've captured use the motion controls. They're a little bit twitchy, but they're versatile if you're careful with it. Once you get used to just being a little subtle with your movements until you need to, which, to be honest, I haven't nailed that. But I win a lot of races. In fairness, I should probably crank the difficulty up, because looking back at this footage, it really is just me getting in the lead and then staying there. You can do a boost if you want. Once you reach max speed, you can press forward on the stick, and then that will give you a boost. You press that, and then your engines will overheat, so you've got to take your finger off the accelerator. You can turn sideways if you want to get through a crack. That also is fun. It's an old game, but I enjoy it. It's simple, and I think I admire that. If they were to do a new Star Wars pod racer game today, they'd fill it with all sorts of features and systems, I think. But there's such a straightforwardness to this game that I like. There are little tricks, like I said, they've got a boost thing here and stuff like that. It's got all the basics of a racing game with a Star Wars overlay and this fun little conceit of the cars being these dragged racer things, which gives them a unique look and feel in a racing situation. But it is just so upfront, I guess is the word. It's just, here is a racing game, play it and enjoy it, you little fuck. And I did. I played it and I enjoyed it. One thing I did want to talk about, I realise I'm being very laid back and churlish in today's video. But again, the game is like 10,000 years old, so it's not like you need to come here for in-depth talking about the cycle of violence and the human condition, or in this case, the short pudgy species condition that so often accompanies blistering video game critique, mine especially. But one thing I did want to seriously talk about was the graphics. I want to talk about the graphics here because I don't know what it is, but I've become really taken with these early 3D games. Getting an HD coat of paint and being thrown on my TV at 60 frames per second, just looking ugly, but everything's so clean and crisp, up to and including the angular, blocky nature of the designs. Everything feels very distinct, like the pod racer here feels truly like it isn't part of the environment, and that should be bad, but there's almost a surreal gorgeousness to it, something I've really found myself enjoying more and more. I find when a game like Star Wars Pod Racer is on the big HD, 4K TV, whatever, when it's on there, I'm struck by just how appealing I find it when I don't think these games look good. I never did, even as a child. I saw the transition from these gorgeous pixel games to the PlayStation 1 era, the N64 era, and everything looked and still looks so blocky, so hideous, so much worse than what had just come before. And yet, here I am, decades later, looking at this stuff thinking, God, it looks lovely, in a strange, hideous way. Funnily enough, as I was thinking this, I think it was Kotaku did an article talking about how ugly this was, and they were a lot harsher on the visuals from a modern perspective, but pretty much drew a similar conclusion in that there is something that's just nice about these old, ugly games. Which, in a way, is like Fud Sang, who is a diminutive species, waste of space, not even a good pilot. And yet, Fud Sang is beautiful. No matter what they say, no words can't bring you down. Fud Sang. Yeah, buy it if you want. It's a good game.